Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our INCITE nomination masterclass. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather today, pay our respects to elders past and present. I'm dialing in from Whadjuk Noongar country. Feel free to share in the chat where you're dialing in from if you're from a different part of this beautiful country. The INCITE Awards are run by WIETA, which is the Western Australian Innovation, Technology and Talent Alliance. And so as we represent the entire region, I pay my respects to all traditional custodians across country and acknowledge First Nations people as the first technology innovators of these lands. Pay my respects to elders past and present. Had fantastic First Nations involvement in our program the past couple of years, and also want to give a shout out to Auntie Yana Seda OAM, who's one of our INCITE ambassadors this year. Just huge thank you to the First Nations community and acknowledge any First Nations people joining us today. Today's session is part of the 35th INCITE Awards program. For 35 years, INCITE has recognised Western Australian technology innovation excellence. So it's a huge heritage and story that has been built over almost 4 decades. So we're very excited. We're treating the 35th as a bit of a milestone, taking it as a point in time to look at where we are now and where we've come, but also looking ahead to perhaps the 40th year of the INCITE Awards and beyond. We've recognised people across industry, research, government and the community. And while this is a milestone year, our focus is firmly on what's coming next, the next generation. We know many of you joining today come from a range of different backgrounds. You might be from government, startup world, industry and an established scale-up and stand-up business, any other facet of our community, and we just really welcome you and encourage you to nominate, absolutely. Regardless of where you are, the principles of a strong nomination are consistent across every industry sector. You need to be clear, you need to be credible, and you need to demonstrate real world impact. Importantly, this masterclass sits outside the judging process. So we don't have judges with us today because we really wanted to make sure we heard a story and some lived experience from an INCITE nominee. So that's what this is all about. Today, we're very fortunate to hear from 2 exceptional people who I have the greatest respect for and have been such generous supporters of the INCITE Awards for many years. They are the team behind Healthy Connections. It's a 2-time INCITE Awards Social Impact Award winner, which is really fantastic. And that was back-to-back wins, which is pretty phenomenal. We were really excited on the night when that happened because it's kind of rare, someone to win twice, but back-to-back, I think that's fantastic. I'll just do some brief introductions. Joining us is Associate Professor Sunny Pham. Sunny is a practical AI expert and digital health innovator focused on applying artificial intelligence to solve real-world challenges. His work centres on translating emerging technologies into measurable outcomes and improvements in care and systems, bridging technical capability with frontline impact. Through Healthy Connections, Sunny has helped demonstrate how applied technology innovation can deliver tangible benefits, earning recognition at the INCITE Awards and also going on to compete at the National Eye Awards. Joining Sunny is Associate Professor Susanna Soon. Susanna brings deep expertise in digital health and new product development innovation. Her work focuses on bridging research, end-user requirements, practical applications, to ensure innovation translates into measurable benefits, outcomes for communities. Before I hand over to the team, just a really brief overview. This is what the program looks like for this year. On the screen, these are the award categories that are available for nomination. If you have one technology solution, you can actually nominate that solution in up to 3 of these categories. Why enter? We're the WA exclusive pathway to the National Eye Awards. You get to market test your innovations, amplify your brand and recognition for your work. We connect with a whole bunch of investors and mentors and coaches, as well as some upcoming prizes yet to be announced to help get people into developing their technology solutions for commercialization and beyond. So with that, I will stop sharing and I will hand over to Sunny and Susanna. Good morning. How are you both?
Thank you so much, Jess. I'm going to full screen my deck and then do a share and see if that goes well. Oh, hang on. Let me maybe do it the other way around.
wouldn't be a technology webinar without some
No.
technology challenges.
Actually, I'm going to full screen my deck now. Okay, let's see.
Fantastic.
Okay, perfect. All right, hopefully that's appearing full screen for you.
Yep.
Yeah, wonderful. So thank you very much, Jess and Cam, for inviting Sunny and I along to this online masterclass, Research and Academia on Nominating in the INCITE Awards. We're really grateful to be here to share our story. We would love to share our Healthy Connections project, so bringing clinic to the community, about the mobile medikit, which you see on the right here, and also our second project, Kawalbalia, Your Health, Your Story, which is a patient-facing companion app for the community that we work with. So with that, I'm gonna do acknowledgement of country. So we acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and work, the Whadjuk Noongar people and the Māori people. So this beautiful picture here we took on the top of Radio Hill in Newman at dawn. So we got it very, very early, and it's right at the top of the hill. It's beautiful, and you can feel the chill in the air, and it's just, yeah, pretty magical. So wanted to share that pretty spectacular scene with you. I'd love to give you some background about our project and the context in which it sits. So healthcare in the Pilbara. We were actually part of the challenge competition in 2023-24. Minister Dawson set out a challenge to reimagine healthcare in the Pilbara. So what that might look like with perhaps some technology approaches. And we were so lucky. We were one of the 10 finalists. We were given a little bit of funding to build out a proof of concept over 1 year and present it to a bunch of judges, like a panel of judges that were very well known and respected in the area. So in that, we wanted to celebrate many of the things that we were doing at Curtin. So having the very, deep technology expertise, having health science researchers working together with us, but also working together with technology industry partners, so very, very big, well-known partners. This was a magic opportunity to be able to showcase something extra special, and then having our students uplifted in the process. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Pilbara. For folks that may not be familiar, it's a 2-hour flight at least to get into Newman. So we travelled up to Newman many times, over 10 times. And often we travel out to these further communities as well. So Jigalong, for example, is a 2-hour drive. Sometimes 4 6-hour drives are not unheard of. And then our colleague, Professor Andrew Marana from Health Sciences, also goes into Telfar. Sometimes can be over 10 hours of driving. So these are very, very distant areas. The Aboriginal communities in these areas are some of the most disadvantaged in Australia, and in terms of healthcare and those sort of metrics. So it's really hard for folks to come in and receive healthcare, or, they're so distant away from regional health clinics and hubs. Adding to that, the people that live in these areas are some of the most, or the last to meet Western colonisation in Australia. So they live a very traditional lifestyle. They speak in language, and English could be their third or fourth language. And they're also out on country a lot, visiting relatives and doing cultural activities. So this takes them away from sort of permanent areas where they might receive healthcare and ongoing continuity of care. As well as that, there are things like workforce instability, which we're familiar with. For FIFO mine workers are, something we think about, but think about FIFO healthcare workers. That is also something that we saw out there. We might even see an interstate nurse coming in to work in the Pilbara because we are so short of staff. And so this adds to the gaps in continuity of care, and, not being able to access care close to you, not having the doctors and nurses that you are familiar with stay in particular areas over time and know your history and so forth, means that you're not receiving this continuity of care. Very important to us is preventable chronic diseases. So Aboriginal people in those regions often exhibit or present with preventable chronic diseases earlier in life than we might see in metro areas. So things like heart conditions, renal conditions, diabetes are very prevalent in those areas. And the tragedy of that is that they are often preventable. So we wanted to find a way to do screening so that we could reach those people earlier in their health journey and provide some follow-up care. So next of all, I'm going to ask Sonny if he wouldn't mind telling everybody about our solution.
Okay, thank you, Susanna. So I would like to give you an overview of our complete solution to address the health gap. So as Susanna mentioned, in 2024, we were honored to be a finalist in the challenge with Medikit, our clinician-facing innovation. So Medikit, as you can see, is a portable mobile health kit equipped with digital AI and communication technologies. It empowers community health workers to deliver preventative care directly within communities in a way that is culturally appropriate and respectful. So it brings capability closer to the community, supporting early detection and monitoring and better health conversation. So then in 2025, we completed the picture with Kaivupalia, our community-facing mobile app. Kaivupalia works seamlessly with Medikit and empowers the community to take charge of their own health with well-being tips, essential contacts, health monitoring over time, medication reminders, all designed in a culturally safe way. So together, Medikit supports the clinicians and Kaivupalia supports the community. And hand in hand, they form a connected solution to help close the health gap. So we are really proud of what we built, but we're also even more proud of whom we build with and whom we build for. Okay, let's move on to the next one, Susanna.
Thank you, Sonny. So some of the questions we were asked about our experience are these, and we'd love to share the story. So why did we choose to nominate the INCITE Awards? Well, this goes back to 2023, and I was teaching a lot of students, like, it would have been over 100 students, about innovation, and they all came up like in groups. They had like their innovations, and I encouraged them to nominate for the WIDA Awards in the student category. And, you know, they listened to what I said and they put in their nominations, and we actually had winners that were first, second, and third, taking out the whole of the student category. And I really, it was breathtaking. It was like sitting at the table watching them go out and get called one after the other. And I just felt so overwhelmingly excited. And I just, was so happy. And I thought, you know, it's wonderful feeling. And so next year, it was a different situation because I had now the Healthy Connections project, but I knew that we had had so much internal success and there was such a vibrant atmosphere going to work every day and working with all the students on this particular projects. Like they were doing, you know, mechatronics build, they were doing some software, they were doing cybersecurity, some were doing electronics, and some were doing community consultation stuff. And we were all working together and it was very vibrant. And I knew that this needed to be celebrated. And then as well as that, there was a little bit of a need to showcase what we were doing external to the university because we were in the challenge program. And so it was kind of like a good opportunity to share more widely. And so we nominated the first time in 2024. And and then going back to 23, when I was in that room, I was very inspired by all the different projects and finalists and winners that were showcased on the night, and not having real much exposure to what other people were doing in the tech community. That was really eye-opening, and just seeing like people that I knew but I didn't know what they were working on, but then seeing them celebrated, I think that was really inspiring to see. It was, you know, government, industry, it was startups, even it was so many different types of people doing different types of technology. Some were doing things internationally, some were doing things locally, and it was all so celebrated. So I felt like it was really important to start finding a way to be part of this bigger picture. And then our research impact and how we communicated it to judges. think we were quietly confident. We had so much passion for this project. Over that year that we had sort of been given time to build out the proof of concept, we just gave it like 100% or 200%. And that was from everybody in the project. So from me to all the external stakeholders, so there was clinicians that we talked to, there was linguists that we talked to, we talked to TGA experts, med tech experts outside the university. We had so much positive energy within the university as well, because we were doing something so unique. And I think that we could tell that story to the judges. And so yeah, we talked to a lot of people. We tried to learn as much as possible, and we always you know, thought about the perspective of the end user or the community member and what they might feel about using technology. As well as that was a really fantastic opportunity to upskill in our own technology skill sets, learn and use some of the most cutting edge AI, as well as educate lots and lots of people about what they might not understand about healthcare up in the Pilbara. I for sure learned so many things that I didn't realise about the state of healthcare in our own state. And I would say that many people in the metro area also have this less awareness. So it was important to be able to pass on that knowledge as well and say, hey, this is happening in our own state. You know, people need more better access to healthcare. So I think that was a lot part of our journey as well. And we were really proud to do that type of work. And then what we learned in the nomination process, you have to be, oops, sorry, I'm going wrong way. You have to be really, you know, get your communication skills up. I think that's really important. So not just your writing skills, which, you know, back then we didn't have ChatGPT, so we wrote everything from scratch. And sometimes it's quite nice to do that because, you know, it's in your own voice. There was a little bit of a video that we had to make, and we were really lucky because I had so many students on the project, and some of them are very tech savvy in terms of video and media. So we got them to do that. And we'd also done quite a lot of this because of the challenge. So we had a lot of material ready to go, lots of slide decks. But communication is really important. So having a little video, and then on the day of the judging, just speak. And you know, you're in a judging situation, so it does feel a little bit different, but try and relax and enjoy the moment as well. And then what I really enjoyed was just working in a team. So my colleague, but also my very good friend, Sunny, we had so much fun, you know, doing the project, writing the nomination, but actually presenting together and then traveling and then presenting together and then going to the awards nights. This is really fun to do with your colleagues, and it's an opportunity you don't really get. So, and then the other thing, and all our technology and all our projects and all our innovations, they may be the judges sometimes sitting opposite you on that screen, and they may have their, you know, their serious face on in those moments, as it needs to be. But when you get to know the actual committee, they're so friendly and supportive, and we feel so welcome. So when we go to the gala events, it's like a big party, and we're just saying hi to everybody. So yeah, it's really fun. So yeah, I'll stop there and pass to Sunny.
Okay, thank you, Susanna. So there are a few key takeaways that I would like to share with you from our experience. I'm sure that the wider team will have more tips for you from the perspective as the organizer of this event, but we want to share with you our personal takeaways. These are the biggest takeaways that we learned from winning back-to-back INCITE Awards. So I would like to start with the first takeaway, right? It's about attitude. And this might sound surprising, and it's not. So when we first entered INCITE Awards, our mindset wasn't really about we must win. Of course, it'd be nice if we win, but it was more about how we can use this opportunity to learn and improve, because this is our first time experience. And if you enter the INCITE Awards, you will see that the judges' comments were incredibly valuable to us. They challenge our assumption. They force us to think more deeply about our technology, not just about how it works, but why it matters. And perhaps most importantly, for me and for many members of my team, you learn from other innovators. You heard their story, you learn from them, you are inspired by them. That's the benefit of entering this INCITE Awards. Second, gap and solution. Sorry, one thing that we learn very quickly, having a great technology is often not enough. You must clearly articulate what gaps that exist. Why does it matter? Why is your solution uniquely positioned to address the gap? So the judges are not really impressed by complexity. They are more impressed by the clarity of your story. So if you cannot explain the problem in 1 or 2 sentences, probably you haven't defined it good enough. Third, users and investors. This is important, right? When we enter INCITE Awards, we also learn to step outside the technical mindset. We have to think from the user's perspective. Is it easy to use? Does it integrate with existing workflows? Does it solve a real pain point? We also need to think from an investor perspective. And this is something that I always tell my students, right? Is there any scalable market? What's the business model? What are the risks? So these are very important things. So we shifted from this is what our technology does to this is the value that it creates. Everything will change since then. The regulation. Now, this is very critical in sectors like health and AI or tech nowadays. No matter how innovative your solution is, but if it cannot navigate the regulatory constraint, adoption is unlikely to be successful. So the judges want to know, are you aware of any compliance requirements? Do you understand approval pathways? Have you factored this into the timeline and cost? So demonstrating regulatory awareness indicates your maturity and credibility in your solution, and they will buy it more. Impact, obviously, as Susanna mentioned before, impact is just very important because everything we do is to create some impact. So for us, it's about moving beyond outputs to impact. So not just about we build this platform or we achieve this level of accuracy, but it's more about how many lives that are improved, how much cost is reduced, how much time is saved, and what measurable change occurs because of our innovation. So impact metric really make your story tangible. And finally, as Susanna said, practice, practice, practice. I myself practiced this one many times yesterday and today. Communication is just so important, right? So you might have the most brilliant idea in the room, but if you cannot articulate it clearly, simply, and confidently, it won't buy the hearts of the people. So we rehearse repeatedly. We often refine our narrative. We simplify our slide. We anticipate tough questions, and quite often we have to fine-tune our narrative to the exact time constraint of the presentation. So every round made us sharper, and winning back-to-back, in our opinion, it's just not a matter of luck. It's about iteration. It's about working hard. Okay, so if I could summarize our experience in one sentence, so it's more like treat competition like INCITE Awards, not a trophy hunting exercise, but a high-intensity accelerator for your thinking, your strategy, and your storytelling.
Thank you. All right, Jess.
Oh, amazing. A huge well done to both of you. That was fantastic. That key takeaway slide, I think that is so powerful and even taught me a lot about the process. And I think you kind of answered a bit of Chanel's question in the chat. How technical must your application be? Whereas you've very much focused, and the judges are very much about outcomes. You might have results in terms of how many people you've reached. That's a great outcome. Put some storytelling around it. And my other feedback is that the team today has kind of presented in a storytelling way that is a great approach for when you do pitch to the judges. They gave the context about it's a 2-hour flight to the Pilbara. It's really far away. People in Perth Metro don't understand the challenges the communities face out there. So putting that storytelling framework around it really contextualizes the impact of the technology innovation. Just thank you so much to both of you for sharing your experience. Just back to that question, how much did you go into the technical detail? Did you have to explain much about the technical actual build of either the hardware or the software?
Yeah, so I'll do a quick response, and then maybe Sonny might like to add on to that. So our product was very technical. So even though I've skimmed on that in this session today, we did have a lot of very technical diagrams, a lot of technical specifications about our work, and we had that ready to go. So I was giving the presentation, I had a technology expert with me right beside me, and we both contributed. When I looked at the decks that we presented for the first one versus the second one, they were actually quite different. So the first one with Healthy Connections actually had a lot of slides with technical things on them, and diagrams, high-level architecture diagrams and things like that. The second one we didn't focus so much, and it was because they're two different types of technology. So one was a big Medikit and the other was an app. So yeah, it's kind of different for each. But I did notice that we made the second deck a lot simpler than our first one. Yeah. So I think, the judges did ask technical questions, and I'm going to pass to Sonny to answer a bit more.
Yeah, so I think that's a very good question, and I think that's kind of common questions that people always ask themselves, like how deep that they need to present your technical content. So my take is that you are the innovator, so you probably know your innovation inside out, very well. But it's very important to understand that when we present our innovation to judges or maybe the community, right? I'm sure that some of them are very technical too, but many of them are just a general audience. They may not have the sort of knowledge that maybe you are really passionate about. But what they would like to see, right? As I mentioned before, it's not about the complexity of your solution, but whether your solution actually solve a problem, right? To solve main point. Let me give you an example. For Kaiwu Balea, for example, because of the mobile app is used maybe with share between family members. So we need to basically address, right? If it's used in a shared environment, how exactly that we can address the issue? How can we protect data privacy and security? So we can talk about authentication. We talk about a PIN code, and then if the mobile app is lost or stolen, what will happen, right? So these are the things that the judges are more likely to hear from you. You address how the technology, solve a point, a pain point, rather than going through the complexity of the solution. So try to be balanced, right? Try to think from the perspective of someone else, or maybe ask your family member, right? You understand what I'm saying, right? Just ask people around you to try and understand and think from their perspective, and that's always the tips that I would like to give to my students and other people.
No, fantastic answer. And you also made me realize the technology ins and outs might be also commercially sensitive. And so, we're not asking for you to lift the hood up on your IP. Give us that evidence that shows the outcomes of what your IP is doing. I think that's a really important one. We had a great WA team, Norwood Systems, go from the WA Awards to the National Awards, and then won gold at the Asia Pacific Awards, with a very commercially sensitive piece of technology. But they did not need to share the ins and outs of the technical specifications. They just needed to talk about outcomes, and their solution is that common thing you might have on your phone that helps screen potential spam calls. So you think about it from a storytelling perspective. How many millions of people have they saved from being scammed because they have a stopgap solution that is technology? That sort of stuff. Get some testimonials, some references. You will be asked to provide references on the nomination. Get those people who can help back up and tell that story. Fantastic responses. We've got another question. The quality of the video, did it affect the judging? Team, what did you think?
So we didn't get feedback. Well, we don't know what the judging process is, so we don't know. And I can't remember if it does say it doesn't have to be highly produced or not. I've just got some really great young people on my team that do it as content creators as their side gig anyway. So it was really very fun. Like, we had this beautiful space called the Optus 5G Lab, which it's a pretty magnificent, small but, you know, granite bench top, beautiful looking lab. And it just showed like the Medikit in one spot, and then we the students just walked and panned around and walked around the table and showcased it. So I don't think it needs to be highly produced at all. Just something that you could do on your phone is fine. Yeah, just like, yeah, these days it's like pretty good quality that you can get from your phone.
Definitely. Yeah, I would say the video is used to help just further re-articulate what your nomination is about. You know, putting something into life, color, and motion so that judges can see. We don't use the videos in like any external kind of things or presenting on the night. There is the occasion where we take little bits to make maybe a montage video. But at the end of the day, use the video to, again, paint your picture, tell your story. I think that's the best thing to do. And also, they just want to see the people behind it. That's probably the other thing is with the, you know, growth of generative AI. I know, you know, people will be using AI to help write your nominations. Use the video as an opportunity to put a face and some human language to your nomination. The judges will love that. Another great question. How did you prepare for the presentations and the delivery of the project? Did you present in front of other people? And how did you get feedback on your work presentations? So there's a couple things. Just prefacing, yes, once you submit a written nomination, there is a presentation opportunity, which is always virtual to ensure accessibility. But yeah, how did you prepare for your preso to the judges?
I'm going to let Sonny answer this one first, and then I might go after.
Okay, yeah, okay. I would like to share with you, you know, a very like my experience, right? And I think this is something that I also like teach my students, right? Now, when judges like, you know, mark your presentation, they have a marking rubric, just very much like us, right? When we mark student presentation, we have marking rubrics. So understanding what they are looking for, right, is very important, because this is like how the games actually works, right? Apart from your innovation, of course. So I think in the INCITE Awards, I think I guess core, right? I think there's always like, you know, the one here for each category, and you can look into that category to basically understand more and make sure that your coverage, right, you know, is sufficient. Make sure that what they're looking for, you need to address those in your presentation. So in terms of planning for your presentation, that's a first of all. And secondly, I think that like, you know, like what Jess and Susanna just said, like storytelling is very compelling. I think you might have a very, very good technology, but if you can make it easily, I guess, like understood by an ordinary people, right? See, the technology actually has some implication to their life. I think that will be much more impactful. So trying to create a story, maybe a person, you know, got sick, and technology can have them get a better, or like in the case of the spam sort of calls that you mentioned before, right? Try to find like a story. And then, of course, like the standard, I guess, techniques in creating your presentation, you need to have structured presentation. Like what the problem is, like, you know, how you take the problem, what is your solution, you know, the impact that it has made so far, and then the kind of you know, the pathway, right, that you want to pursue in the next couple of months or a couple of years. So these are the structure thing, and depending on your solution, you can, I guess, you can like decide what contents that you're going to have, and have a narrative that actually makes the transition between slides very smooth. And I think from my personal experience, reading through many like presentation, like keep refining over and over again, present it in front of your like, you know, your the friends that you know, your family, or your team members, and then see what they think, see the feedback. And I always time my presentation, right? If it's 5 minutes, I try to get 40 50 seconds to allow some 10 seconds of margin. And if it's like beyond like 5 minutes, then try to cut down something that you want to say, but maybe it's not so important. So because you are constrained by time.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I would say the timing is really strict, especially when you get to the national level, and the feel in the room is also very, like, it's a very stern, strict feeling, because it's, you know, very professional, and it's, you know, it's judging at the national level. So you have to go in really prepared. It also depends about your style and also your teammate, you know, your collaborating partner's style as well. So Sunny is, you know, very methodical, likes to write things down and have things very well practiced. I really enjoy watching other people present, but presenting myself is like, you know, less favorite. And so I often I'll try and speak a little bit more off the cuff. But I do have a script. So even today I have a script, but I'm not looking, like, I didn't end up looking at it. So you have a script, but you don't end up using it because you kind of know what you want to say anyway. And I think, yeah, I think, you know, the more presenting you do, like we have to present as part of our work. So it does help us in that. Yeah. And so, yeah, really just preparation.
Yeah, awesome. That's fantastic help answering that question about how you got feedback on your prezo. Got time probably for one more question. I know we've gone a bit longer, but one that I just wanted to share is in that second photo, you were presented both years with the Social Impact Award by the City of Perth Lord Mayor Bruce Reynolds. You know, we do talk about people wanting to get face time and get in front of key influencers such as political figures and, you know, investors and that sort of stuff. Yeah, do you mind maybe sharing about what that experience was like?
Yeah, it's actually really amazing because even Minister Dawson came over to our table and personally congratulated us, especially on that second win. So that was, you know, pretty phenomenal, like him taking time out his evening to come and say hello to us. And because we also, you know, got to know him over the challenge. So without those types of opportunities and touch points, we wouldn't have built that relationship. So that was pretty phenomenal. And yeah, just been even first names with, you know, Minister Dawson, that's pretty cool. And we know that we can go off and talk to him and so forth. So yeah, there are some very high profile people there, like there's Glenn Butcher, who's the part of the committee, and yeah, some people from Minister Dawson's office are also around. So yeah, it's nice to say hello to them. And then also Honourable Pawinder Kaur, we often see there as well, and has been a past winner. So yeah, good opportunities, and I'm sure Sunny shares the same ideas.
Yeah, I think I completely agree. I think like there are, I think quite a number of like, you know, high profile people that you are like you might meet like as part of INCITE Awards sort of journey. So I think like as Susanna said, I think Minister Dawson, I guess he probably the most approachable minister I ever seen. Like, but I think he's very approachable and he's supportive. I think he share his like you know his interest in building this innovative community in WA. I think that's really great. I think Bruce also like great. I think I met Bruce here in part of the INCITE Awards sort of dinner, but I also met him with on other occasion, like you know. And and then we have further chats about like you know other things. So yeah, very good. I think the people that I've met, you know, I think I mean many of them just amazing. I think there are a lot of things to learn from them. There are many things that we could share our enthusiasm, our interest in. I guess creating innovation that make a huge impact to life, and I hope we can continue the journey and meet more nice people, and that's the best part of my work and my life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you two are pretty awesome as well to meet at these things. So huge kudos to you both. And yeah, just thank you so much for sharing your journey and your story. I've learned a lot myself, even though I've been involved for a couple of years. I've never had the nominee experience. So even this just gives me a little glimpse into kind of what you go through, and definitely the rewards, you know, you reap the rewards at the end of it. So thank you so much, Healthy Connections team. Thank you so much, Associate Professor Susanna Soon and Associate Professor Sunny Pham. And thanks everyone who's dialed in today, or maybe watching the recording after this. Really encourage you to nominate. Nominations are due by 7th of April. It's free to nominate. We would love for you to be part of the INCITE Awards community. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.